Hello students, we are going to start a new chapter in the unit of human physiology, that is the circulatory system. The topics that will be covered in this chapter are introduction, body fluids and their function, components of blood, blood transfusion, blood group, structure of the human heart, blood vessels, circulation of blood, hepatic portal system and the lymphatic system. So what are we going to study in this chapter? We all have a basic knowledge of human circulatory system, that it circulates different substances in our body. When I talk about transport, it means internal transport. Every living organism requires all the nutrients and minerals for their survival. And for distributing these nutrients, we need a means to carry those substances. So, the internal transport is facilitated by the circulatory system. Now, what is exactly transported in human circulatory system? The first one is the gases. Oxygen and carbon dioxide, they are transported by the circulatory system. When we take in the air which is rich in oxygen, oxygen needs to be distributed all over our body because every cell in our body requires oxygen. After utilizing oxygen, the cells, they are going to liberate out carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide has to be released outside the body. So who helps in transport of these oxygen and carbon dioxide? It is the blood, which is the part of the circulatory system. The second one is the nutrients. When we consume the food is finally broken down into simpler substances, and again these simpler substances from the digestive system is carried to each and every part of our body with the help of the circulatory system. Third one is the hormones. Hormones are released by the endocrine gland and is again very important and plays a vital role in all the metabolic activities of our body. Fourth one is the excretory material. All the cells utilizes the nutrients and release out the waste. So these waste is carried from the tissues to the liver, kidney or skin with the help of the blood. So we need a circulatory system for distributing or for the transport of gases, nutrients, hormones and the excretory material. Right? Now the circulatory system in our body is of two types. First one is the cardiovascular system and the second one is the lymphatic system. Cardiovascular system consists of heart, blood vessels and blood, and lymphatic system consists of lymph node, lymph vessels and the lymph. Now what is lymphatic system? That we'll be learning in the later part of the lecture. First we're going to learn about the cardiovascular system. In the cardiovascular system, this topic we will be learning under two heads. First one is the body fluids and the second is the circulation. Body fluids will be learning about blood, lymph and tissue fluid, and in circulation we will be learning about heart, blood vessels and blood. Right? So before starting with the circulation, first I want to explain you about the two types of fluids. There are basically two types of fluids. The first one is the environmental fluid. Environmental fluid is present in all those organisms, those who do not have the presence of the internal fluid. Right? So these organisms, they are cycon or hydra. We all have learned in class 9 that cycon belongs to phylum Porifera and hydra belongs to Coelenterata. And these organisms, they are marine. Right? So why are they marine? Because these organisms do not have internal fluid. They depend on the environmental fluid for distributing the nutrients. Right? So the water which is rich in the nutrient enters inside the living organism, and the cells inside the organism, they are going to utilize the nutrients. Right? In this picture you can see the water which is rich in nutrient reaches the central cavity. From the central cavity, all the cells, they are going to utilize the nutrients, and the water now comes out with the help of a bigger opening which is called as osculum. So in this way the organism depends on the environmental fluid for distributing of the nutrients. The second one is the internal body fluid. Internal body fluid is present in all those organisms those who have presence of these fluid. For example, the fluids are blood, lymph and the tissue fluid. Now we're going to learn about how blood, lymph and tissue fluid they are interrelated. See, the blood over here comes from the arteries. Comes in the arteries from the heart, and the arteries divides into smaller arterioles, and the arteriole divides into smaller fine capillaries. These capillaries they join together to form venules, and venules join together to form the veins, right? So when the blood reaches, it comes from this side, right? So when the blood reaches the artery, the blood comes with a very high hydrostatic pressure. Because of the high hydrostatic pressure, when the blood enters the capillary they are made up of only one single endothelium. That means the membrane or the wall of the capillary is very thin, right? So when the blood with the very high hydrostatic pressure reaches the capillary, these capillaries they have minute pores in them. So the liquid part of the blood, that is the plasma, it oozes out, right? So when the liquid part of the plasma or the blood oozes out, it forms the interstitial fluid. Right? Now this interstitial fluid is actually the drained out liquid which is formed outside the capillary. Right? Now the interstitial fluid which is formed outside the capillary, it has to go back. So how is it going to enter back? It is going to enter back into the venules, because these venules they have low hydrostatic pressure, right? So arteries have a high hydrostatic pressure. Because of this high hydrostatic pressure, the liquid part of the blood comes out and forms the interstitial fluid. Some of the interstitial fluid it enters the lymphatic capillary, and the remaining interstitial fluid it enters the veins. Why do they enter the lymphatic system and the veins? Because of the presence of low hydrostatic pressure in them, right? Now we're going to learn about blood. Right? Blood is a liquid connective tissue. It is called as a connective tissue because it connects different parts of our body. Another liquid connective tissue is the lymph, and we have some more connective tissue, skeletal connective tissue, which is your bones and the cartilage. They are also connective tissue. You have fibrous connective tissue. So here we are going to learn about the liquid connective tissue. Approximately 4 to 5 liters of blood is present in the human adults, and the color of the blood is red because of the presence of hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is formed by heme and protein, which is globin. So heme is a pigment and globin is a protein, right? Hemoglobin has an affinity for oxygen, carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. When hemoglobin combines with oxygen, it forms oxyhemoglobin, which is bright red. When hemoglobin combines with carbon dioxide, it forms carb-aminohemoglobin, which is dark red. And when hemoglobin combines with carbon monoxide, it forms carboxyhemoglobin, right? Amongst all these three gases, hemoglobin has the highest affinity for carbon monoxide. The pH of the blood is 7.4 and it is slightly alkaline, right? Now we will be studying about circulation in the next lecture.